Hi, my name is Winsley, and welcome to my video guide to stacking critical chance and how if you stack enough critical chance, then hit chance becomes trivial or irrelevant, meaning that you don't need decent hit chances in order to get your shots to land. For example, this guy, if I take a shot right now, it says I only have a 40% chance to hit with my accuracy, but if I check here, I have a 100% crit chance, which means I will just hit this shot. And I can actually take advantage of that to take shots that are only 5%, and it's still going to do not just that 12 damage, but the extra damage you get from a crit. And that works every time when you've got that much crit chance. Just getting like 50% crit chance can allow a shot that otherwise probably wouldn't land, something that's like a 20% chance to hit enough times to do a reliable enough damage to be worth it. In this video, we're basically going to cover how this strategy works and then a couple different sources of crit chance. Um, Crit chance is quite a bit better on ranged units. A melee guy like this guy, he has accuracy, but right now it's not even displaying it because most of the time melee attacks hit. I think things can boost evasion like hero skills. The defense one I think boosts your evasion, allowing melee shots to graze sometimes, and if they fumble, I think graze can be downgraded to an outright miss. But for the most part, if you want to take advantage of this stacking critical chance strategy, you want to be putting a lot of critical chance on your ranged units and getting a lot of ranged units, allowing you to just like stay a little bit further back and get some attacks in that may not maybe shouldn't hit. Like this is a 30% chance, 1 in 3 that it actually hits and does a lot of damage for a shot that should only really be 5%. I mean, this one's still probably a better shot to do from here, but as you can imagine, you can really take advantage of this in certain situations. You can keep your units a little bit further away from the enemy. Like this guy, he's supposed to be a skirmisher, so if I wanted to keep him as far away as possible, I'd probably do the attack from something like this and then hope for a crit. Did I get it? Yeah, didn't get it, but still did a decent chunk of damage. I think it is worth mentioning that Age of Wonders Planetfall had a similar interaction between crit chance and accuracy when the game first launched, and it was actually something that was addressed relatively quickly. I think within 2 or 3 weeks after Age of Wonders Planetfall released, there was this patch that I couldn't find much online. Explorminate did a little breakdown of what the changes were, but basically right here it says on September 5th we got a patch that says crit chance of an attack is now capped by the hit chance of an attack, i.e. an attack with 20% chance to hit cannot have a crit chance over 20. This prevents stacking crit increases from becoming an exploit. Basically, so you just avoid hit chance. And yeah, that basically means if I pass the turn over here, we'll get to see some more numbers that I can use to talk about what that actually means. Right now, if I move this guy to here, if it worked the way it did in Planetfall, I would have a 60% chance to crit because I have a 60% chance to hit, and I believe it does the crit chance first. If you crit, then it doesn't matter what you would roll on your accuracy. You do the normal damage, I believe, times 1.5. So it's quite good when you do get the crit to go off. But right now, I will just get this 100% of the time. It's a silly little thing that I believe should get addressed in the near future. And I think there's actually a few things like that from Age of Wonders Planetfall that were addressed and fixed, but haven't quite made their way over to Age of Wonders 4. All right, now that we've talked about how the strategy works generally, let's talk about different sources of crit chance. A lot of you are probably wondering, how did I get this hero to get as much crit chance as he has on his attacks? And it is from a tier 5 tome that gives maximized magic as a hero skill that you can pick. Think it's a little bit harder to see it here, so we'll go over that more once we've hopped out of the battle, but we can talk a little bit about morale here. If we look at this bar, we don't have enough morale to get crit chance, but if we get up to plus 20 to plus 40, then we get the high morale effect, which gives 20% crit chance. Not nothing. It's actually quite significant and stacks with a lot of other sources of crit chance, allowing you to get to not quite 100% crit chance very easily, but you can get to 40, 50, 60%, which is quite useful in the current build of the game. Another source of crit chance is medals. I believe this guy right here, he doesn't have a medal which gives crit chance. Yeah, if he levels up to elite rank, he gets extra damage, and then at legend rank, he gets sprint. Um, but other units, when they rank up, they get different things. This guy, when he ranks up, he gets defense and exalted defense. So units that are designed to deal damage will be more likely to have things like the extra crit chance, and when you rank them up, you can definitely take advantage of that. I think I could probably find one on in the tome. I just need to get through this battle, so we'll just wrap this up really quickly. All right, so if we look at this unit here, I ranked him up to get to legend rank, which gave him the the legend medal critical, which gives plus 20% critical. Not nothing at all. It's pretty hard to get a unit up to legend rank, and this is a tier 3, so it does require a little bit of extra experience. It looks like 160 in total, but that's a lot of crit chance. If you can stack that with like overwhelm tactics or morale or another source of crit, you've already got like 50% or more crit chance. Some people have been saying that this is a bug. It says 10% crit chance here, but I think in other places it says 20% crit chance. And I believe I remember hearing during development that it was supposed to go down from 20% crit chance to 10% crit chance, but I could be wrong. It could be that I'm remembering something incorrectly. Uh, Barbarians have another source of crit chance. If I go to my hero here, they've got access to something called um, Keen Edge, I think it is. Right here, it's a master skill. So if I just take like, I don't know, sprint or something, then I can come in here and get this source of crit chance. And I believe this just goes on the hero. I don't believe this goes on the other units. If I take that, it'll probably affect crit chance at some point in one of my attacks. Let's see if I go into here, if I'm able to see some slightly different numbers, because I don't think you can reduce crit chance. It might just cap out at 100, and I'm not really sure if that applies to the other units in the stack. Let's see. And you go here, go there, sign. This should be safe-ish. Earlier you had, oh yeah, or it's the overwhelm tactics, isn't it? I bet if I step him here, let's see what happens. Is your crit chance lower? Yeah, okay, that's what I had a feeling that that was what was happening. Yeah, overwhelm tactics was giving 20% more because it was standing next to a person with overwhelm tactics. Okay, and same with you. If I step you forward, you're still capped at 100%, but I definitely did take keen edge. Oh, it's because that's a keen edge is a all right. It applies to my melee attacks, not my magic attacks. That's an important distinction. Vision of Victory is another thing that barbarians get access to. I have a lot of things unlocked here because I use some some console commands to test things out. So I can give Fortune in a 3-stack radius. Right here, I've got a few units I could apply Fortune to, and that increases the crit chance further. He had 20% from Keen, now he's up to 60%. So that's like 40% right there just from the Fortune. I think he can stack up to 5. Yeah, it stacks up to 5 times, giving plus 50% crit from just Fortune alone. So yeah, you can get up to 100% through a couple different sources. It just requires time and resources into that path. I know the dark culture has something called Grim Executioner, so that when they kill a unit, they get 3 stacks of fortune. Bit like how I believe Keen Edge is a barbarian thing. All right, so if we look at the Tome of Beasts, which is a nature tome, it will give you access to crit chance through animal kinship, which gives you plus 10% damage and 10% crit chance. If a unit is standing next to an animal or a cavalry unit, you can summon in animals or you can use your mounted units to get this effect, and it works a lot like overwhelm tactics, but it doesn't it's a little bit less hard. It's a little bit trickier to apply because there's less units that have the animal or cavalry tag than units that will have your culture tag, at least at the beginning of the game. If you focus on animal units, you can easily get this effect to trigger on all of your non-animal units. And I believe this only applies to your culture or your minor race, or the race that you're playing as. So yeah, you can't get this effect on the animals that you're recruiting. It's more for those other armies, the other units in the army. Sometimes that might be your heroes. So it works out pretty well in the long run. You also get access to Pack Leader, which is an awesome hero skill. Means that the other cavalry and animals in the army that the hero has in the army will get 10% crit chance. And flanker means they do more damage when they are flanking. There are a lot of animals that charge, and so getting the extra damage from flanking means that they can charge around people and get like a lot of damage. It's quite a helpful hero skill that I end up taking quite a lot of the time. The next one we have is an order tome. Tier 1 gives a unit. I think it was not zeal, it's faith. This one gives a unit that can give a little bit of fortune, I believe. Yeah, bless can give fortune to a single unit. It's not a lot of fortune, it's only a single unit, but it is something that can give you some crit chance. The next one I noticed had some crit chance. One of the ones that I think I'm probably going to use quite a bit in the future is a Astral Tome. It's the amplification one. It's quite good. I like the jumping damage a lot. The 30% jump is 30% of their damage jumping to another target is it adds up. It allows you to hit from far away, kind of like this other strategy we've been talking about. But there's also, I think, Astral Blood here, which gives you fortune every time a spell is cast. That works when enemies cast spells, not just when you cast spells. So that can allow you to get a lot of fortune um, without any effort. And when you are putting in effort to cast spells, you get something extra out of it. It's not just it's not like you're going for the fortune. You get that on top of whatever else you're getting from the spell itself. We next have a Materium Tome. It's funny, a lot of these come from different sources, but I could see myself just going for whatever gives crit chance until they like maybe change things. Right here it says Artisan armaments gives a 30% crit chance to enchanted units, and I believe this actually can affect all of your units with like tags. Other than I think mythical units, they don't have the tags that are included in this, but I believe this applies to a bunch of units. May may just check this in here because right, it's saying that it could go on shield units, pole arms, fighters, shock, skirmishers, and ranged. I believe I only have one shield. I don't have any pole arms. If I had a pole arm, I believe that would be something that could be changed. So this is, I think, generally very applicable. Let's go ahead and get like at least one pole arm just to test that off before we move on. There's a pole arm. He's a pole arm. What are you? So now if I go in here, I go to active. Yeah, it does affect pole arms. So it's just saying that it can essentially go on these types of units. Pretty much everything that you have access to, except for I think the really high tier mythical units, and that's a lot of hit chance or a lot of crit chance, which I guess results in hit chance with like the current version of way hit chance is working in Age of Wonders 4. Another one that affects your crit chance is the Tome of Revelry. I believe um, that one mostly affects your hit chance through morale, but it's all about making people happy and getting the most out of it, which is essentially crit chance. So where is it? Revelry is right here. Yeah, this guy experience. This unit can make it so that you get a lot of I think fortune on your units. Yeah, here you get fortune in a 1 hex radius. That's massive, and yeah, you get morale at the beginning of a fight, allowing you to do more crits, get morale from more sources. It's like, yeah, 20% crit is not nothing. And then this does more crit damage, which is great if you're going for a lot of crit chance, but it's not really like the cornerstone of this build. You need a lot of crit chance to make the crit damage worthwhile. Um, I think up until a certain point they're kind of equivalent, but if you can just make it so that you can hit shots from far away, there's a lot of value in that strategically. We have Tome of Devastation next, which is another chaos one. This one is chaos channeling, right? There's a little bit more to it. So, or no, Devastation is a different one, not chaos channeling. Devastation is this one. It gives your units, your hero unit plus 20% crit chance, and when they do that, unit explodes, dealing 20 fire damage to adjacent enemies. That's quite a lot of damage, but I like the hit chance there, and I believe, yes, Flameburst weapons is actually a tag that goes on enchanted units, like the Artisan tools, I believe, and you get access to this on your heroes as well, so it's pretty cool. There's a lot of different ways that you can get crit chance. I don't think this would apply to heroes. Yeah, I don't believe they're listed in the list of enchanted units. Yeah, that's another important distinction between the transformations and enchantments. It's not just to tier 5 units. And the last thing we have is that tier 5 tome that I mentioned earlier, the one that gives, I think, maximized magic. I believe it's astral. Um, where is he? Archmage. Yeah, this one gives you the maximized magic, which is it's a really fun one to play around with. A lot of the tier 5s have something like that, where it's just like really, really powerful, and it's supposed to take a long time to get, so it's cool that it's super powerful, but man, with with the way crit chance works right now, I think this is even better than it's intended to be. Maybe not as good as some things I've seen online, but a fun strategy nonetheless. And yeah, that's I think everything that I wanted to showcase today. Thanks for joining me today. I'll see you around. Have a good one.